Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Improving the leadership team will strengthen a company during times of crisis. Mike Goldman, author of Breakthrough Leadership Team, joins me to discuss how companies have to pivot away from remaining neutral and to become more value-driven in an effort to attract and retain employees and clients. Mike, it's great to have you with us. Thanks so much for joining us on Trade Talks.
Great to be here, Jill. Thanks.
And Mike, why is failing to clearly express your social or political stance is now considered bad for business? Isn't the golden rule not to discuss religion and politics when it comes to business?
It has been. It has been, but that golden rule has changed. And I'll be honest, it's changed for me really over the last couple of months. And part of it was having my 23-year-old daughter in my ear for the last couple of months and helping me, frankly, understand things that I never cared as much about before. And the old rule book has always said, stay away from political issues, stay away from social issues, because you might you might alienate a client, you might alienate a prospect, you might alienate an employee. But these days, I think we've seen that number one, staying quiet could actually get you in trouble as well. And I do think times are changing, and there's a new rule book, and as leaders, we need to lead. And if we believe strongly in something, I think we owe it to ourselves, owe it to our companies, owe it to society to speak up.
But the question is, how can leaders and companies establish a purpose and share honest opinions, especially when they're so wired to remain objective? It seems as if we go from one extreme to the other, and we're still learning as industries what the middle ground is.
Yeah, and the challenge is, I don't think there's much middle ground anymore, right? I mean, the world has become so polarized that middle ground just makes each side angry at you. And so you've got to stand up for what you believe in. But you said two things there. One is, how do we become more purpose-driven and have a purpose as a company? So I think on the one hand, you have got not only millennials, but all of us, I think over the years have become much more purpose-driven. So as a company, there's got to be a bigger purpose than making money. Making money is important. You can't continue on as a company unless you're putting cash in the bank. But so that's fuel for your growth, but it's fuel not just to grow, it's fuel to add some value to society. So I work with my clients to figure out their why. Why are they in business? How would the world be any worse off if they closed up shop tomorrow? And if the world is no worse off if they closed up shop tomorrow, then you've got a problem. So you've got to become purpose-driven and values-driven as an organization. And that doesn't have to be about Black Lives Matter or climate change or the LGBT community. It could be about I've got a client that is a tool distributor, and they're all about saving manufacturing in the United States. That's their cause. So it doesn't have to be related to a social issue or a political issue. But I think because people are so much more purpose-driven today, you also have to be prepared. In addition to being purpose-driven as a company, you've got to be prepared to speak out on what you believe in as well, sometimes with political and social issues. I mean, we saw, what was it, a couple of weeks ago, all the trouble Greg Glassman at CrossFit got into. At first, because his folks wanted to hear what he had to say, and he was silent. And then when he did speak up, he said something that, frankly, a lot of the folks that worked with him and worked with CrossFit didn't believe in, and he had to step down in chaos because of that.
Yeah, well, I think you make a really important distinction by calling it purpose-driven. I think it kind of raises the umbrella a bit for all those issues to fit under. But Mike, give us some specific strategies for recruiting talented individuals who believe in your company's purpose and live its core values.
Yeah, I think, first, as and I talk about this in my book, Breakthrough Leadership Team. Number one, as a leadership team, the CEO and the whole leadership team really need to be evangelists of the vision of the company. And that vision of the company is not just where do we want to be in 10 years, it's the purpose of the company, it's the values of the company. So they need to be evangelists. That vision and that purpose and those values need to be front and center when it comes to recruiting. You don't just want to recruit the most talented people. You need to recruit people that are a fit for your organization. And that fit means they believe in your purpose. If they don't believe in your purpose, doesn't mean they're bad people, but they're probably not a great fit for your company. If they don't already live your values, again, they're not bad people, but they're probably a bad fit for your company. So you need to make that front and center in recruiting. You need to ask the right questions to figure out if people are a right fit, and you need to be open and honest about your purpose and values. So frankly, the people that don't believe what you believe, they don't even come calling you, because they look at what you're all about and they say, that's not for me. And that's great, because you're not wasting your time.
All right, and to wrap up here, once you get through the recruitment process, what's the most effective way to communicate your purpose and your vision to employees and to clients, because you need to retain them at the end of the day too?
Yeah, there are a lot of ways to do that. And sometimes you see the plaques up on the wall and the posters on the wall, and that's great. I wouldn't say don't do that, but if that's all you're going to do, don't waste your time. You need to make sure front and center in that onboarding process, that if you have a trainer in there doing the onboarding, the CEO ought to come in and talk about purpose and values. Take it up a level. Oh my God, this must be really important. The CEO is talking about it. You need to reward based on living the purpose and values. You need to evaluate your staff based on not just whether they're a great salesperson and they're bringing in boatloads of cash, but are they living the values? Are they an example of the values that we live in, the culture that we have? Are they raising the bar on that every day? And really just recognizing people, not so much the formal recognition, it's the informal recognition that's more important. Someone does a great job in the meeting. Don't say, hey, great job in that meeting. Say, hey, I got to tell you, you were a phenomenal example of our collaboration core value in that meeting. If someone doesn't do a good job, what did they go against the purpose? Did they break a core value? Be specific. Use that every day, as opposed to just a plaque on the wall, because a plaque on the wall is something that people don't care much about. What they care is the feedback they're getting every day.
Yep. Great stuff, Mike. Thanks so much for joining us on Trade Talks.
Thank you.
And thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.